Welcome to the Black Men Think podcast. If this is your first time here, know that the views and opinions expressed by the Black Men Think podcast are those of the Black Men Think podcast and not the individual members. With that being said, we're about to be unapologetically, undeniably black. Enjoy.
Dog, why you trying to make it seem like I went to the strip club, man? I ain't go to the Flame, dog. I
It's
was
all right, man.
I was chilling at the bar by myself at this one spot, and it wasn't like I said, muchacho or something like that. I'm gonna have to go back and really give it a real review
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said at the time, I wasn't in that zone for the type of spot it was. To be honest with you, I was really more so trying to be a little more chill and laid back, and that spot didn't really provide that laid back and chill what I was trying to go for.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up at this spot in Hateville, Sombrero, like Mexican restaurant, I think it's called. Cool though, real cool. I was at the bar, chilling at the bar, a couple of dudes there, and they in their own world. I'm in my own world. But you know how it is. You sitting at the bar, bro. People gonna start talking to each other and
Mm-hmm.
all of this stuff. So it was cool, man, for a little Thursday night. But what was wild, the first spot I went to, I had a drink and
Mm-hmm.
chips and spent like $20 for one drink and like chips, which
That weren't complimentary.
that were not complimentary. Like I said, like
Yeah.
at Mexican restaurants, bro, like they bring you the chips before you even sit down. Good, like I
Yeah.
ain't even got my seat warm and the chips coming on the table. You know what I mean? Then I go to the spot that I ended up at, and I think I had like two margaritas. I had chips and salsa, which was complimentary, and I had like a steak burrito. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think my total was?
$20.
$25, and plus tip.
Dang.
I think I spent $30 because I tipped it like 20%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I spent $30 and had a meal and two drinks and chips versus like, yeah, I was like, man, yeah, this is my type of spot, bro. So
Yeah, man. That location to get you, man. I want to
mhm.
say I think I've seen that place before.
You seen it, dog. It's like it's
Oh
it's right in Hateville. Like I forgot the name of the street.
no, I was talking about the other place,
Oh,
whatever
you've
that's
seen
called.
it. It's off
Yeah.
Memorial, bro. Like
Yeah.
so, even
It's
if
that
you're in
place
the
right on the corner. Do
yeah, it
like
is.
the waiters and waitresses wear white shirts?
No, no,
Oh, okay. Because I feel like I saw maybe they had a patio.
yeah. It's a
Okay,
patio. It's directly next to what do you call it? The belt line.
okay,
Yeah, the belt
okay.
line. It's like on the belt line. People can walk off the belt line and walk up to the restaurant and kind of like sit there. Like I said, I
Yeah.
think and I've even heard from people that it's a cool spot, but I think it was more so like I just wasn't in that type of zone for that restaurant. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
was really looking for some authentic cheap Mexican food. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
No, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but before we had hit record, we were talking about these contracts, and Mo, who was not here tonight, he um he sent us a IG post about the Heat have paid Chris Bosh $434,000 twice a month since 2017 as a part of his contract agreement, and today marks the 120th paid installment. And I had mentioned like, man, he Bobby Bonilla contract, and Corey prompted and told me like, no, bro, he'll get paid $900,000 a month versus like $1 million a year.
Yeah,
That's a big
man.
difference.
That's a real big difference.
It is.
So he was getting because they didn't get paid. Hold on, when they lost? Oh, no. I'm trying to figure out. Was basketball down for a minute before they started the?
Talking about COVID.
Yeah, before they started the.
Yeah. It was down for a little bit. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to remember what they were saying or what they said about pay, how they got paid prior. Because I don't think the players were getting paid before they started the season back up. It was something about that. But I'm like,
Mm.
man, he. I was just thinking about Chris Boston. I'm like, he's still collecting them checks.
Yeah, he was. So I looked it up about Bobby Bonilla. So the Mets owe Bobby Bonilla $1.193 million. So that's like close to $1.2 million every July 1st through
Mm-hmm.
2035. So I was off by like 3. I think I said 2032 or something. 2035, bro.
Dang.
Bro, that's a
Mm-mm-mm.
contract, bro.
Yeah, he getting paid, man.
And you know, honestly though, like that's a cool little number to get every year because
Mm-hmm.
you know, of course, inflation is real and the amount changes, right? Like that $1.2 million probably looked real good in 1990 versus now, but that's still a nice little chunk of change that you can't say you can't figure out how to make that work for you. You know what I mean? That's a
Right.
nice little
Yeah.
retirement plan.
Yeah. Because I mean, by the time he paid taxes, he probably was clearing about what you think? Probably about a good eight,
Probably
eight
about
hundred
about
thousand.
probably somewhere between 6 to 700,000, which
Yeah.
is, I mean, still
Yeah.
good, bro. Hey, we talking about this is what he getting from baseball. Like I would assume that he's doing other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
And
that.
he played a while, so he probably getting. I'm sure baseball got a pension. I would think. I don't know. Then again, I don't know. They
So
might.
I'll read the story of like how it happened, right? So it said on as a part of his contract that he signed in 1999. This specifically the addendum that gives Bonilla all of his deferred money. Oh, hold on. I'm reading something else. Say this. Hold on. Yeah, yeah. So, okay. At the time, many teams have attached deferred payments to large contracts since, but this is one of the most popular examples. He put a copy of his addendum up for auction. Oh, this is something else. Like this article here is about him putting a part of the contract up for option. Auction. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something else. But he will get paid $1.19 million until he's 72 years old.
Dang.
And he's 59 right now, bro. That's a nice little deal, bro.
Yep.
So it said he signed a 5-year contract worth $29 million in 1991, which was the richest contract in team sports at the time. He spent the first 3.5 seasons of that contract with New York before being traded away to the Marlins. The Mets released Bonilla in January 2000, but was still on the hook for $5.9 million of his salary that season. Believing there were reports to make a significant profit through their investment with Bernie Madoff, the Mets ownership instead agreed to defer Bonilla's salary with
Mm-hmm.
8% interest and spread it across 25 years from 2011 to 2035. So they thought that they were gonna come up off the money. They actually did because we know how the Bernie Madoff situation ended. Dang, that's wild, bro. So it said Madoff Ponzi scheme fell apart, and Bonilla's $5.9 million contract swelled to 29.8 million from 20 to 2011, and so that was divided by 25 years. That's how they came up with the annual payment. Well, hey, it worked out for him.
Yeah. Still collecting that check.
Yeah, but that's a good little chunk of change, man. But you know, welcome to the Black Man Think podcast. Um, I'm your host. I go by many names. Some people call me JD. Some people call me last name Good. Um, I am joined by my brother from another mother, my roommate of bro. I can't remember how long we were roommates. Uh,
Decade, man.
was it a decade?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. We graduated in '02, and I got married in 2012. Yeah, we definitely were roommates up until I got married. That was for sure. So yeah, a decade. And y'all know him, C Wisby Mac, aka Corey. Um, we're here, and y'all heard us talk about. We had to do our little catch up, man. We haven't been on the podcast together in a couple of months. I feel like it's been a minute. It's been a little hot second.
Dang, it's been that long?
Maybe like a month or so,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been a hot little second. So I want to start, man. How you doing, bro? Like, check on your mental well being and all of these good things. Like, how have you been feeling? Let's do the homeboy mental health check first before we dive in anything we got to talk about.
Man, I'm just living, man. Living well, man. One day at a time.
One
That's
day at a
about
time.
it for me. Trying to stay safe out here.
Yeah, bro, definitely trying to stay safe, man. Like that, and we all know, like, there's no secret, bro. We live in Atlanta, and we're coming off of the news of Takeoff being murdered. And we've seen several different reports that came out. I think the latest is that it was a stray bullet. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff, bro. I don't, who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah.
So I mean, I don't want us to shy away from the topic, bro. I know we've had some deep conversations within our group chat, and not even really placing the blame on who it is or who should be at fault, because we had some different things that kind of went around the group chat that I wanted to bring here and really discuss. But the one thing that we said was one, accountability. Number two was, learning to change your environment, and I believe the third thing that we spoke on was just like it's us too many times. Like we always read about us being the victims of these types of crimes. You know what I mean? Like we don't read about
Mhm.
other people being a part of these. And not saying that that doesn't happen to other communities. I'm sure it does, but it seems like it's happening way more times than I can count to us. So I wanted to kind of talk about that today, man, and really just get your thoughts on where we at right now, and how we can progress from where we are, because one of the biggest statements that I saw, man, shout out to our brother Chris. He was just like, man, like no matter how you want to put it, he died. There's a millionaire that died playing a dice game at 2 o'clock in the morning in a city that they're not from.
See, that's it, and that's why, like, I kind of fall back on speaking on the facts because it's an ongoing investigation. I don't want to jump to any conclusions on
Mm,
exactly what happened because, I mean, you hear reports here, reports there. I mean, I'm like, I don't know what happened. The only thing I know is this man. I mean, another life gone from another life gone from looking from the outside in, a person that just seemed just laid back, quiet. From the
right.
outside, I didn't know him or
Yeah, I didn't
anything
know him.
like
Right.
that. But I mean, it's just sad, man. I mean, it's just an awful situation.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
it's an awful situation. So that's why, I'm kind of hesitant to talk about the facts because well, not talk about the facts because I mean, I don't know the facts. I wasn't there
Right,
or
right,
whatever.
right,
Because
right, right.
it just with social media and people saying this, people saying that, I'm like, man, you hear so many things. We don't know what happened. What exactly the case may be. The only thing we know is that this
He's not
man,
here.
he's
Yeah.
not here. So
You know what?
that's it.
No, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I'm glad you said that, because that is something that we definitely need to make sure we're showing accountability, especially on this platform. So I agree with you, and I thank you for saying that. One thing that I do know for sure, um, with this is, and we saw it, everyone is jumping to conclusion, and everyone is voicing their opinions, which you're entitled to your opinion. I mean, it's just, it is what it is, bro. Like, this is the world of social media. um but I've also seen, like, there's so much desensitized to, like, what really happened, or
Mhm.
what happened. Like, I can't say
Yeah,
what really happened, but there, man, like, seeing people post footage of this
yeah,
man, like, I don't understand that. I didn't
yeah,
see any video of it. Um, but of course, you can't avoid it. Like, you can be scrolling and, like, you see something, and it's like, oh man, like, I just don't understand the logic behind having to post that. I
yeah.
can't comprehend that. And that,
I mean, oh, go ahead.
no, you good. You good.
No, I was gonna say, man, and I'm not the type of person that posts a lot. I can care less about posting. So it's like when it comes to stuff like that, people are just quick to they want to. I don't know if it's people want likes or they want followers or whatever. It just, I mean, I don't know. People, not even stuff like that. It's just people post unnecessary stuff. Like it doesn't even make sense. like why you posting certain things, but especially when it come across something like that. Like imagine if, that was your brother or your daddy or
Right.
cousin, uncle, whoever, and you come across social media and this how you find out about stuff, or you seeing stuff that several years ago you wouldn't even see. But people don't think about stuff like that. They just so quick to post, and once you post it, it goes viral. I mean, you can different sites can move it, but it's just
Hmm.
gonna keep circulating. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just a lot of unnecessary stuff, and people don't think about putting themselves in, somebody else's shoes, this family or that family's shoes, and how would they feel. And but it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, man. I think that was well said. Just really taking account of someone else's feelings, right? And don't get me wrong, man. Like people process things completely different, and they have the right to process how they want to process. One thing that I saw that really caught my attention was really paralleling this with our age group, and like when Pac and Biggie died, that was a big thing for us, right? Like that was something we grew up with. We were locked in into, most of us was locked in into Biggie and Tupac, and not even just to what they had going on collectively, but individuals, like whether you were a fan of Biggie or a fan of Tupac, that was at that prime age of us like growing up and learning, and these were like some of our favorite artists. And to not understand like really what was going on besides the fact that they were murdered, you know, I read where someone was saying like, man, you got to understand that these kids are going through this right now.
Hmm.
You have kids that are in high school that Migos mean everything to them, right? Like PNB Rock mean everything to them. Nipsey meant everything to them. Young Dolph, you know what I mean? And so, it's one of those things where I know that we're older and we look at things a little bit different, and we try to have that perspective on saying like, yo, man, you got to like grow up. You got to do this, do that. But a lot of times I think we have to remember that the youth are dealing with things that we dealt with at a younger age too. And we didn't really know how to process those emotions and process those feelings. And like, bro, that takeoff thing messed me up. I mean, I woke up to that news. Like that was
Hmm.
literally
Oh yeah,
what I
yeah.
woke up to.
That's
You
right.
know what I mean?
That's the same thing because I'm like my phone. It had to be about. I want to say it was about maybe right a little bit before 7.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like six
And
forty.
I look and they're like breaking news. I'm like, what? And I'm looking. So I'm like, when I see stuff, I always like to go to multiple sites to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, this can't be real. And
And the fact that you have to go to multiple sites really don't add. I mean, it don't help because it just add to it, right? Like
yeah,
it's just piling on because everybody
yeah,
throwing their opinions out there. It's just like, yeah,
yeah. And that's the thing, man. Everybody is so opinionated about stuff when I mean, you weren't there. You don't know exactly what happened, and people jump to conclusions about stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just an unfortunate situation.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It just, yeah, it sucked, man.
No, I get
Definitely
that.
sucked.
I get that, bro.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense. It is unfortunate because I mean, not saying that this. I don't want to sound weird and say like these things are expected. They're not expected, but when they do happen, they've been happening so much that you don't get used to it. But I mean, I think the best feeling is you get kind of numb, right? Like, I mean, we're talking about less than 60 days ago, PNB Rock was murdered. Like
Yeah.
less than 60 days. And don't get me wrong, like these are things that are happening unfortunately every day, every week. But when you're someone of a celebrity status and people know you and you have the fame attached to it, is magnified, no matter how you want to look at it, right? So it's gonna get the news coverage, it's gonna get the press, it's gonna get all of the stories and the social media talking. Those things are gonna happen when it's someone that is a quote unquote celebrity, and so on one hand, we are able to get that information and try to figure out a way to process it. But on the other hand, it's like it's another black man that's gone, bro. And me as a black man, I posted some on Twitter. I mean, I maybe Twitter or Facebook. I can't remember where it was, but I pretty much said, bro, like, look, the streets are done, man. Like, be lame, stay at home with your family, your friends, and grow old. Don't listen to the internet. All of these things, right? And my reasoning for saying that is because there's this facade of like, man, we got to be outside. We got to be outside. We got to be outside. And I don't want people to walk around in fear and not think that they can't go outside. But I really believe, bro, like we have to wake up. And this is not even talking about the takeoff situation. I'm just talking about just in general. We have to wake up and start doing things differently so we can get some different results. We
Mm-hmm.
can't keep doing the same exact thing over and over again and expecting that a different outcome is going to come. Like, we have to switch our mindset. We have to switch the way we're doing things. We got to get educated. And we got to also reach back too, because we can do all this talking, especially on this podcast, man. But if we're not trying to elevate a young mind and talk to a young person, I think that we're doing it a disservice ourselves. So, um, but yeah, it's tough, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. It's a tough scenario all around. It really is.
Yeah. Yep. It's very, very unfortunate, man. It's just like, I don't know. I'm like, man, when you can step back and put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and it just like you can imagine like what they're going through to deal with something like this.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, yeah, it's tough, bro.
yeah, absolutely. So, um, I don't want us to stay on that. No, well, I do want to say rest in peace to Takeoff, and my condolences to his family and anyone that's around that situation. My prayers are with you because I know that's not tough. I mean, I know that is tough, and it's not something that I wish on anybody. So, just on beyond behalf of Black Men Think podcast, rest in peace. Our condolences. Um, so, you know, um, onto a more lighter subject, right? We mentioned on this podcast that we wanted to start doing some things differently. I don't know if y'all caught the last episode. If y'all haven't, please go back and watch the last episode. Marlon and I, we brought our wives on the podcast, and we talked about what it was like to be married. 10. We're like, what does 10 years of marriage really look like, right? And so we got into some real deal conversations, bro. Like, we talked about some things that, um, might we got into some deep conversations, honestly, some very deep conversations about marriage and what those things are. But I can speak from the marriage side, right? But I want to talk to you because you're somebody that you've been in relationships, you haven't been married, but you're still out here. Like, you outside.
I'm not out shit. That's a little different.
Correct me. What
I'm living, staying in my lane. I'm not out here. Out here. There's some, you know,
wait, that's a negative connotation with out here, Corey?
of course, it definitely is. I
Why?
mean,
I mean, what do you mean? Why is it negative connotation?
because if
You're
you
out.
say somebody out here, that means they in the streets.
No, no, no.
I
See,
don't consider myself in the streets.
I'm not. So okay, let me rewind. Let me rewind it back. I don't. When I say out here, I don't mean that you're out here in these streets. I'm sorry. I don't. That's not what. That's
I
not
got
what
you.
I'm. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I know you as my dog. I know you're not out here in these streets. That's not the type of guy you are. You're a very respectful young man. You're not out here in these streets. You're just out here single. In terms of not being married, is what I consider single as you're not married.
I
All
got you.
this other stuff. So, I wanted to open the door for someone who is single versus somebody that's been married for 10 years. Like, open the floor for like questions. Like, what is some things that you may want to ask somebody that quote unquote has some experience of being married? Um, what questions do you have? I kind of want to open the floor for you to, you know, say whatever you want to get off your chest, or ask me anything that you may have, um, for someone else that may be in your same position.
Hmm. So you want to know what kind of questions that I have for someone that's been married for 10 years?
Yeah, real and keep it. You know you can ask me anything, bro. You already know that.
Man,
You can
I
keep it.
wish I'd have thought about this today.
It's on the fly, man. I
What
want to
kind
your
of questions do I
real
have?
reaction.
Hmm,
Think about it.
that's a good question. See, if you never asked me this question, I probably would have something for you.
No,
Let
man, you
me
got to
think.
dig deep, dog. You got questions.
Hmm, what kind of questions do I have as a single man to the man been married 10 years? I don't know, man.
No, that's unacceptable. No,
Um,
no, you know, man. Ask a question, bro.
um, dang, since you put me on the spot, I can't even think of something. What kind of questions do I have?
Excuse me,
Um, hmm,
bro. What's the first thing come to your mind, bro? It can be anything.
all right, let me try to think. I'm gonna try to think from. Let's see. It's coming. All right. So since I've never been married
Okay.
and I've lived for myself, I lived by myself for a while,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if this would be an appropriate question for you because it probably would be more so an appropriate question for somebody that lived by themselves for a while and then got married. But maybe I'll just ask
Yeah,
anyway.
I'll give a married perspective.
All right, so I've been living by myself for a while, right? So
Yeah.
I always think that, man, like that's gonna be a hard transition and a big adjustment to living with somebody
Mm-hmm.
when it's like, it's been this way for so long. It's not
Right.
like I've been young and then, maybe I had a roommate or maybe I didn't have a roommate for a short period of time and then I've been married. See,
Right.
for me, it's like I've been, living by myself for a while. So I kind of know how the household flows.
Mm-hmm.
But when I get married, I bring somebody else in. I'm thinking like, yeah, that's going to be a big adjustment because for me, I kind of like my space sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and like I don't like, especially if you talk a lot, man, man, bro.
All right. So I'm gonna give you a very honest answer. It's three
I hope
things.
so.
No. You sound like Kodak Black. I hope so. No. So I'm gonna give you three things. Number one, that's something that's something that you'll deal with until the day that you either die or get a divorce. That's just being honest. Like you're gonna want your own space. So the solution to that is whenever you do get married, you have to communicate that, hey, having my own space is very important to me. And so what you want to do is make sure that you have your own space, whether that's a room or that's like, so right now you have like your man cave, right? So that would be something that I would strongly suggest that you communicate to your spouse that like, yo, it's important for me to have some me time to myself. I need that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so, when I have whenever that time is needed, this is my space. I would appreciate if you like let me have this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And just have an honest conversation because I think a lot of times what happens is we want our own space, but we don't know how to communicate that we want our own space. So you end up not talking about it, but then you getting pissed off when you're not getting your me time and your space to yourself
Mm-hmm.
because you're not communicating that. So I would say the communication part is going to be key. You just have to let that be known early on, right? As far as the talking part, look, bro, in our relationship, my wife is the talker, I'm the quiet one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until there's a subject that I'm interested in, then I become the talker, and then she's kind of like, just falling back, listening or whatever. Um, the key is, bro, you just got to find somebody that understands you don't like to talk a lot, but you got to be an active listener if you're not going to be the person that's talking, because she's gonna want to talk anyway. You know what I mean? But you got to have that open communication. Once again, that it has to be there where those boundaries are set. Like if she's a talker, then you need to know that she's going to be a talker, and at some point in time you have to know to say like, all right, yeah, cool, let's give it a let's give it a break. And I mean, I'm just being honest, bro. Like in 10 years you find out very quickly. Like my wife understood today was a very stressful day, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't like bad stress. It was just like I was trying to do too much, honestly, right? So like we had, um, my daughter had a doctor's appointment, but we also needed to do some shopping for one of our vending locations.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the car, but I'm also working remotely, right? And so I have meetings that I had to go through to. Then I'm also doing some training for some things. So I'm working while all of this is going on. You know what I mean? Like I have my mobile hotspot and everything, and I'm doing my work. Um, but I'm also trying to like get some certification in something, and I'm doing some testing, like
Mm-hmm.
some serious testing that I haven't did any like testing like this since college. Being honestly, like trying to answer. So imagine I'm trying to answer 50 questions with the radio going, the kids in the background yelling, my wife driving it, forgetting that like, oh man, you doing a test. So she's trying to have a conversation with me. Not on some like disrespectful stuff, but she's just like, I'm in the car. So it's like, oh yo, I'm gonna talk to my husband, and completely forgot like, yo, I'm doing a test type thing, right? And so all of this is going on. Meanwhile, we're still going around doing all of these things. And then, it was a point when she realized like, oh dang, like he really is getting frustrated right now. So she kind of just like let me be to myself, so to speak, for the best way that she could. But those things happen the longer that you're in your marriage, where you just learn who your partner is, bro. Like you really figure out who they are if you want to. Now there are some people that don't give a damn and don't even try to learn who their partner is, but I'm saying if you are trying to learn who your partner is, you'll realize very quickly their quirks and the things that like they need. And so for you
Mm-hmm.
being someone that's saying that you need like that me time, as long as you are communicating that you need that me time and you have a partner who is open to like receptive to that, you'll be okay, because more than likely she's gonna want her me time too. So the best thing is to try to find a way that y'all can coordinate those me time together, where you go and do your me time, I can go and do my me time. You know what I mean? And as long as there's no kids in the picture, that's very easy to get done. Now the question, what it gets tough when the kids come in the picture to try to get that me
Mm-hmm.
time, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, is it possible for two faithful individuals to be married but have separate houses?
Um.
Not saying I've asked people this before, and not saying let's take out the scenario of let's take out the scenario of okay, y'all are married, one
Mhm.
person get a job in another state and they
Mhm.
go stay there. I'm not talking about a situation like that. I'm saying is if these people they two people not married, they get married, they live in the same city but they have two separate houses.
So what, y'all want to continue to stay in separate houses?
Yeah.
I mean,
This is a
I
hypothetical.
no, this is a hypothetical. I would, what my business mind would say is,
Oh yeah, I know financial. Let's take out the financial aspect of it
yeah, yeah.
because I mean, of course, you're paying two of everything. So we're gonna take out the
Oh no, no,
financial
no,
piece.
no, no.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about that. What my financial brain would say is, You rent out your crib, she rent out her crib, and then y'all going to either buy a crib or like take the money that y'all get rent from and use that to go and buy your own crib. That's what the financial mind in me would say. But you're not talking about that. You're talking
No, I'm
about
not talking about that.
your
I'm just
space,
saying the hypothetical.
the
Two
hypothetical.
people, yeah, two people.
Um, if you're talking about it in terms of marriage, I think anything can be done with communication. I just think that you'll have a very hard time because you will not establish a true union, in my
Mm,
opinion. Because the longer that you have your own and she has her own, and you're living separately, then things won't be done the way. I'm not saying things that won't be done the way that they need to be done, but I think you'll have a hard time getting on the same page with a lot of things.
mm-hmm.
That's just my personal opinion. Now you can have your own space. Like that's like a dramatic have your own space, in my opinion. But can it be done? I think it could, as long as the communication is there and you guys really talk about that, and that's something that you truly want to happen. I think if you do that, then you would really need to establish some serious boundaries, right? Like
Mm,
I would almost say that there needs to be some type of common place. So let's just say like, yo, we will still spend out. We're talking about the typical day, right? Like so, a Monday, y'all both work a traditional 9 to 5. So y'all leave the house around 8. Y'all home about 6. What I would suggest, if that was in this hypothetical situation where she has her own place, you have your own place, and y'all are married, what I would strongly suggest is, if you want to continue in that type of scenario, my brain says you alternate houses, right?
mm-hmm.
So
Right.
on Monday, y'all go to work, but at 6 o'clock, y'all are both coming back to the same place. So say Monday is your house. So Monday,
Mm-hmm.
y'all come back to the house, right? Y'all have y'all time together from 6 to 9 o'clock or whatever. And then that person that's at home stays at home, and then that other person goes back to their crib.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, y'all alternate. So Tuesday would be her crib, and y'all do the same thing. I think that because,
But you gotta have some slumber parties in there every now and then.
well, yeah,
You can
but,
have
but
some sleepovers.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, in this scenario, what I'm ultimately saying is, there has to be dedicated time together, right?
Right. No, I got you.
There has
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be dedicated time
Yeah.
together, and I don't think that there can be any skips in time together. Is what I'm saying. I don't
Yeah.
think that you can be realistically in that type of situation and go home and don't see your wife for like 2 or 3 days. And I
Yeah.
think that,
But you can get a day. You can get a day
I mean, yeah, you could, bro. But it's like, what are we really looking for at this point?
in.
Because if we
Bro,
if we being real,
I'm just thinking. I'm just, bro. I'm just
no,
thinking.
this is good. This is good content. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, in my hearts of hearts, if you're looking for that type of scenario, then I would say don't even worry about getting married. That's just, I'll just say, I'll
No,
just be honest.
I understand. No, I understand. And I'm not saying like this is, this is all, this is how it's gonna be.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
that's just something I thought about. I'm like, man, I wonder, two people could be married,
I'm,
faithful,
I'm
committed people. Because I mean, obviously, well, people be married in the same household,
yeah,
still
yeah,
cheat. So
yeah.
I don't even want to. Oh, is room to cheat, man. You live together, people married
No,
to cheat, whatever.
yeah,
I'm
it
just
ain't
saying.
that.
I'm just saying two faithful, committed people who feel like, hey, I got my place, you got your place. We'll work it on spending the time together. When we want to decide to be apart from each other, we can. But at the end of the day, we know we're still married, still committed to each other.
Yeah, like I said, I think that can be done. But the communication have to be there, and one, communication has to be key, and two, there has to be boundaries, like realistic boundary set.
Right.
Because if you are in that scenario and you just still like doing what you want to do, then like nah, you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like if you're entertaining company, then I'm like
Oh
nah,
yeah.
that's not
Yeah,
what's up.
that's opened the door to other stuff. So I mean,
Yeah,
I would say I would say you would still, even though y'all have two different places,
Hmm.
act as though your wife is in the other room.
Correct. If
Yeah,
y'all can have that type of
yeah.
boundary and that type of communication in place, and I think it's something that can work. Because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like even us, something that we do, and it's not even really intentional. Like my wife on the weekend, right? Like she works Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but she gets up super early. Like my wife is a
Hmm.
early riser. She's up 4:30, 5 o'clock most days of the week, right?
Yeah.
But when she works, she's getting up super early and she's not trying to wake the whole house. So she'll sleep in the other room, right? And so like technically I'm sleeping by myself like 2 or 3 days a week. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so it's I don't, if you tell that to most people, they might feel like, man, that's kind of like untraditional or whatever. But bro, you got to do what works for you, right? Like she
Hmm.
was realized, like, man, she'll sleep in the bed. It's like, man, I'm not sleeping good. I'm worrying about waking up everybody. You know what I mean? And so that ended up being a problem. So it was like, okay, she's sleeping in the other room. I mean, for me, I got the bed to myself. She got the bed to her. So we get a
Right.
break from each other, so to speak, a couple of days a week. But we're still in the same house. You know what I mean? It ain't
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
um,
And it worked for y'all. So
yeah, it worked for us, but that's a scenario that is something different. Like I've heard of people literally sleeping in different beds like
oh yeah, I've heard
7 days a week. And I mean, I think they even used to do that back in the day. Like that was a normal thing. Like they'll have
that.
two
Hmm.
beds in the room. Like you sleep in your
Yeah.
bed, I sleep in my bed type thing. Um
I even heard them sleeping in other people's beds a couple of days out of the week. Bro, you hear all kind of stuff. Bro, for real, man.
yeah, folks be doing some wild stuff. But yeah, man, ultimately what I would say that overall, right, to that the 10-year married advice would be, you have to do what works for you and yours, but
Yeah.
ultimately it has to truly be for you and yours, right? Like
Mm.
so
Right.
if that scenario is from a place of selfishness, I think that it's a bad thing. But
Hmm.
if it is something that y'all both want and y'all truly both want, not like you're trying to manipulate her or she's trying to manipulate you to want that, if that's something that y'all truly both want and y'all can communicate that and like you said, treat it as if my wife or my husband is in the next room, then I think that's something that can work as long as y'all really have those boundaries and communication, really set down.
Yeah. I mean, I would, I mean, like I said, that's just something I thought about and I
Yeah,
just ask people. But the, traditionally, I mean, people would want that, they want the traditional way. But the game changer, the reason why I think that this wouldn't work for most people, the financial piece of it, because a
hmm,
lot of times people get married, they depend on each other, incomes or whatever. And then if you have kids, that can be another game changer. So,
yeah,
I mean, that there are some other pieces to um, you know, put into the equation when it comes to something
absolutely.
like that. But like I said, I mean, it's just something I thought about. I'm like, I wonder if that could be possible
Well,
for
that's a hell of an
someone.
icebreaker question on the first date, though. I can tell you that. you'll
Oh
really
yeah,
get
it is.
you'll get
Yeah,
the
I
wheels
would.
turning on that one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you might get surprised and be like, you know what? I like my space too. Then again, I don't know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's a good question though. That's a real good question, bro. I wasn't expecting that one. You almost.
See, man, I turned the table on you, boy.
Oh, hey, I'm ready though. Hopefully I answer your questions well. You got any more for me?
Ah. Ah.
I tell you what. While you think about that, look, if you want to hear more questions, we're gonna take this over to Patreon. Felt like that was a great ending point. If you're enjoying this podcast, make sure you subscribe, rate, hit the bell for notification if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. We're trying to grow. We're trying to grow massively. We're trying to do some unique things with this podcast and really get this our voices amplified in the Black community to other people as well. So make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend about the Black Man Think podcast. Do you remember our outro, Corey?
Um,
Let me see if you got it.
I don't know.
Trash.
If so, what's the first? What's the first?
I'm gonna tell you. I wrote it down. Hold on.
Oh, you don't even remember it, man. Come on, man.
Thinkers think.
Something thinkers think. Doers do.
There you go. And then the part that you
Um,
came up with, you don't even remember.
don't be like somebody else. Just be you, or
That
something
was
like that.
close. That was close. Thinkers think, doers do. Thinkers think, doers do. Don't try to be someone else. Just be you. This is the Black Men
There you
Think
go.
podcast.
So I was close.
We'll see y'all next week.